You've been playing guitar for years. You know the chords, you know scales, you can play music. But every time you try to play jazz, there's something missing. It doesn't sound wrong exactly, but it doesn't sound like jazz either. So you go back and you learn more theory, more scales, more patterns. And it still doesn't sound like jazz. Here's what I want to tell you. It's not your fault. The problem is not your talent, your age, your practice habits, or your musical background. The problem is that most jazz guitar instruction starts in the wrong place. In this video, I'm going to expose 5 lies about learning jazz guitar that are keeping you stuck and show you a better way. I'm Dr. George, making jazz simple so that you can play more and think less. Lie number 1, you have to learn a mountain of material before you can really start playing jazz. This is the prerequisite trap. Jazz education makes it feel like there's an enormous amount you have to master before you're ready to really play. And because jazz is sophisticated music, that sounds reasonable. It did to me when I went to Berkeley as a self-taught blues guitarist. I figured I had some catching up to do. But here's the problem. You can learn things with your head and your fingers that your ears don't understand yet. And that leads to solos that are technically correct, but just aren't very musical. Here's the truth. You learn to play jazz by playing jazz. Think about it. If jazz required years of abstract theory before you could make music, it never would have become popular in the first place. If you can play pentatonic scales and bar chords, you're a lot closer than you think. You don't need to know everything yet. You need to learn the style, learn a few simple tunes, and then go play. The sooner you get out of the practice room, the faster you'll improve. Lie number 2. If you push the right buttons, you'll sound like jazz. This is the formula trap. You look at a chord symbol and you immediately think, what scale goes with this? What are the chord tones? Now, chord scales make sense when you're looking at voicings. I learned them in an arranging class at Berkeley. But the mistake that I made was trying to use them as my main soloing method. And because theory came easy to me, I could actually do it. I could find the right notes, but the notes being right didn't mean the music was there. Here's the thing about guitar. We think of scales as patterns. So chasing chord scales means chasing endless patterns all over the neck. But the reality is the difference between the key of C and the key of F is just one note. So let's try an exercise. Play a solo using only long notes, nothing shorter than a quarter note. You can start on any note in the key and then move mostly by step. Let your ear lead the line. And it's okay to syncopate it a little bit. And if you land on a wrong note, you're only a half step away from the right one. As Miles told us, it's not the note you play that's the wrong note. It's the note you play afterward that makes it right or wrong. Lie number 3, jazz is about the chord changes. This is the fake book trap. When you learn a new tune, what do you start with? For most guitarists, it's the chords. Well, that makes sense. Comping's a huge part of what we do. But here's the question. Can you play the melody by ear? Not just read it off the chart. Sing it in your head and play it. If you can't, you don't really know the song yet. The melody is the song. It's what the audience is hearing in their heads, and it's what makes the chord progression make sense. If your solo never connects back to the sound of the melody, the listener has nothing to hold on to. The notes might all be right, but it sounds like random notes because the song has disappeared. The solution is simple. Start with the melody. Learn it by ear, sing it, play it slowly, get it in your hands and get it in your head, and use that to guide what you play. Here's a good ear training exercise. Every time you pick up the guitar this week, try to play a melody that you really know but haven't played before. It could be a folk song, a pop song, anything. And you're going to play it by ear, not from a chart. Now that'll go a long way to connecting your ears to your fingers. Lie number 4, there's a right way to play jazz. This is the orthodoxy trap, and I think it stops a lot of players like you. Jazz education is a big industry. Schools have methods, and when enough people teach the same method, it starts to feel like there's one approved way to play. The right scales, the right licks, the right bebop language. And if you're not doing that, you don't belong. But listen to the great players, Wes Montgomery, Joe Pass, Jim Hall, Pat Metheny. Every one of them sounds like jazz, but each also sounds unique and is completely identifiable. Wes played with his thumb. Jim Hall was sparse and lyrical. Metheny followed both of them. It sounds completely different. And that's the point. Jazz is a language, but the goal of the language isn't to erase your voice. It's to give you the tools to express it. You need to learn the sound, the feel, the phrasing, the tradition, but the music eventually has to sound the way you want it to sound. You spend years developing your musical instincts. Jazz doesn't ask you to throw that away. It asks you to bring it. So instead of asking, what am I supposed to play? Start asking, what do I hear? And how do I play it on the guitar? Your goal is to connect your ears and your fingers. And while your ears are catching up, play simply. A simple line you can actually hear will always sound better than a complicated scale that you can't sing. And now line number 5. You can't think your way to jazz. This is the thinking trap. And honestly, it was my trap. Jazz attracts intelligent people. We like patterns, we like systems, we like solving musical puzzles. I thought I could figure it out with enough theory. And I could find the right notes, but the music still wasn't there. Here's what I eventually learned. You cannot think and play at the same time. Every great player will tell you some version of this. Kenny Werner calls it the space. Charles Mingus said it was like being a conduit from God. Whatever you call it, it's not analytical thinking. And as Victor Wooten says, no one in the audience wants to hear your theory. They want to hear your passion. And that's a different part of your brain. The goal is to get to a place where it's just you, the band, and the music. Now, when you're starting out, this sounds impossible. You think if you don't make every chord change, everyone will know you're an imposter. One of the most freeing things anyone ever said to me, though, was, I really like it when you don't play the changes. And he didn't mean just go playing wrong notes. He meant stop thinking and start playing. But here's the good news. You don't need to think so much. Most jazz tunes have 1 or 2 key centers, and for the chords that move outside of the key, all you need is that one note. So instead of thinking about something like this, you instead have something like this. And eventually, you won't think about it at all. See, theory is useful in the practice room, but when you play, your ear has to be in charge. So what do you do instead? 3 simple steps. First, hear the tune until it starts to live in your head. Second, learn it on the guitar by connecting your ear to your fingers. And then third, play it musically with groove, articulation, phrasing, and feeling. To help you out, this week I'm going to be releasing 3 free videos that'll walk you through the exact process using Fly Me to the Moon. By the end, you'll have the melody in your ear, in your hands, and sounding like jazz, using nothing but what you already know. Hit the bell and subscribe so you don't miss them. And one more thing. I'm building a complete course around this method. A 6-week deep dive into one swing tune where you'll learn the melody, the chords, a simple approach to soloing, and how to make the whole thing yours. But before I open it up, I want to make sure that I'm solving the right problems. Use the link below to complete a short survey. Tell me where you're stuck, what you've tried, and what you wish jazz guitar instruction actually explained. It takes 5 minutes, and it'll help me build something that works for you. The link is in the description below. I'll also send you updates on the free workshop and the course when it opens. When you learn jazz this way, jazz stops feeling like a theory puzzle. You hear tunes more clearly, you remember them better, and your solos start to connect to the song because they're coming from the music, not from a chart. If you keep chasing more scales and licks, you can spend another year practicing and still feel like you're not playing jazz. You've put in the time. The problem was never effort, it was direction. Let's fix that. I'll see you in the next video.